cool. Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number, what am I up to? 1670, The Art of Embracing Spontaneity. Oh, I love being spontaneous and things. It's just such a really cool moment. There's lots of ways that you can be spontaneous. You could be driving down the street and, it could be on the way home from work and you're thinking through dinner plans and something, and you're thinking, what can we have for dinner tonight? And you're looking and you're thinking about what's in the pantry, what's in the freezer, what's in the refrigerator, how tired are you? How quickly can it be prepared? If you're on Nicole's meal prepping thing, that's really easy because you know you have stuff prepared. You just got to cook. Most of the stuff doesn't take any more than 10 minutes to prepare it to be ready to eat. But then you might decide, I'm going to surprise them. I'm going to pick up pizza on the way home, or I'm going to pick up Chinese on the way home, or I'm going to pick up whatever to have on the way home. Maybe I'll pick up dessert. Stop by the market and go to the bakery area and pick up something for dessert or something. That's something that's spontaneous. It's just that it wasn't planned. So spontaneous stuff is stuff that is not planned. It could be what's one of the trips I have done where we were spontaneous. I've always told you about my trips down from Wellington to Picton, hop on the ferry to go across to Picton to get a burger. Those are always spontaneous moments. Those were never planned. The only time they were planned was when we were planning to take the ferry to the South Island and we're going to stop off there, have lunch first, and then continue on our way. That was the only time it was planned. Every other time, not planned at all. It could be that maybe you decide to do something spontaneous and take your spouse or your loved one, just turn and says, come on, let's go out spontaneously, no plans. And you head to like a bed and breakfast, and you go out for dinner or something. And then you go to a hotel and book a room for the night. You don't have anything with you, because if you take a bag with you, that's kind of planning it a little bit. But, hop in the car, go out for dinner somewhere, and then maybe you've heard that there's an exhibit on or something like that, or you're driving past some location and there's like a fair on, and you say, oh, let's go in here and see what's going on. Those sorts of things where you just like if you're driving along and you see there's an event going on. Like there's been a few times, unfortunately I had Zeffie in the car with me at the time, but I went down one of the streets here in Surprise, and there was a huge event going on, and you could see the midway over there. There was some sort of fair going on. There was a midway because you could see the Ferris wheels, you could see the spinny things, and the twirly, whatever they call them. And there were all these people parking, and they had the traffic directed through this area. And my map did not say there was an event on in the area, and I was actually going somewhere else. We were driving off to check out an area that we were looking at getting a house in. And of course, I had Zeffie in the back with me. So, of course, I couldn't take her to the fair. But I thought if I didn't have her with me, I would have found a parking space and gone over and explored to see what was going on. So it could be something as simple as that. It could be that you're, you see an event on, you're driving past, you see an event on. Oh, that looks good. Let's go there. And you find a place to park or do a U-turn to go back to it and go and find out, check out what the event is. It could be that you no plans to go out for dinner that evening. You're just out strolling along on your way home from work, and you say, I'm going to go in here and have dinner tonight. Just go in there and have dinner. Just fun things like that. You could be out driving and you come across botanical gardens. I love walking through botanical gardens. I love it. All the flowers and everything. My sinuses don't like it so much, but that's okay. You go through the greenhouses and things, and maybe it's sort of like, oh, I haven't been to the park for a while. Going to go for a walk through the park. You find a place to park and off you go. There's been times when we were living in San Diego, we had annual passes to the San Diego Zoo. And so I could go down there anytime. Now, I love funnel cake. Okay, I have this craving for funnel cakes. And the only time I knew that there was funnel cakes available in the area was when they had the big fair there in San Diego at the Del Mar racetrack. And we could go there and get funnel cakes. Until I discovered that there is a funnel cake hut at the San Diego Zoo over by the children's area. So you would walk in the main gates, you would hang a left, and you'd walk all around till you get to almost to the children's play area. And right there was a funnel cake shack. And because I had annual passes, I could come and go as much as I wanted to. and I just had to show my pass, and that was it, and I was through. And so I'd go over and get some funnel cake and head back home. And then sometimes I'd be like, it's just like, I feel like funnel cake. Hop in the car and go get some funnel cake. And sometimes we'll be walking back and we'll come across the airway tram that they have. We get up into the gondolas and you go from one end of the zoo to the other one. And so, let's go check out the other end of the zoo. Let's go see the polar bears, because they were down the far end there. And so we'd get up into the gondolas in there, and would have that great view that you get from up there, because it's going over the treetops and everything. And you get down the other side there, and of course it's all included in your annual pass. And you get there, you walk down to see the polar bears, and it's sort of like, should we walk back, bus back? And they have the tour buses that go around, and you can just hop on and hop off whenever they do their stops and everything. So they have different stops around the zoo. So you hop on there and twiddle around. Let's go see this. So we'll get off at the next stop. It got to the point where I got to know the layout of the zoo very, very well. And then they closed off this whole section near the koalas, and they built this whole new area. And I've only been through that new area once, and it was after Brad passed, and I met a friend there, and I said, because we hadn't spoken for a while, and we just thought we'll have a get together. I said, let's go to the zoo. And she goes, I don't know. I says, look, I have an annual pass, and even though it's only for me, I get to take, because I have to still pay for a second person, because San Diego annual pass is for 2 people. And even if you are a single, you're paying for 2 people. So there's you, and you get to take a guest with you every time you go in. And so I says, look, come along. It's not going to cost you anything to get in there, because I get to take a guest every time I go in there. And they're like, oh, okay. And so we met at the zoo. We had a great day walking around the zoo. We stopped for lunch and everything. And then we walked through all this new area and had no clue where we were going, because it wasn't very well signposted at the time. But we finally got up to this area. It's like, okay, now where do we actually had to ask a zoo staff member, where do we go from here? Where are we on the map, and how do we get back to the gate? And we had, because we'd seen all the zoo at that point. But I'd only been through that new area once, and it was actually really good. It was very good how they had done all of that. And it was, I think it's the Africa exhibit. Africa, I wanted to say it was, that they had opened, but it was a really cool new area that they had opened at the zoo. But, being able to spontaneously, if you've got an annual pass, just deciding, I'm going to take the day off and go to the zoo. I'm going to take the day off and go to Disneyland. I'm going to take the day off and go to Disney World. Whatever you got or Legoland, whatever you've got the pass for, Universal Studios, whatever. If you've got an annual pass for a park, it could be that one day you wake up and go, let's go to the zoo. Let's go to the park. Let's pop, 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 and off you go. Not planned, completely not planned. That's what spontaneity is. It is something that you decide on the spur of the moment to go and do. Have I gone and stayed at a hotel overnight? Somebody just asked me if I'd gone and stayed at a hotel overnight without any planning. Absolutely. I was too tired to drive home. I don't drink. So normally I would drive home from wherever I am. Depending on where I'm going, like when I lived in San Diego, every time I went up to LA, we'd have a mastermind group on, and had to leave before 6:15 in the morning, even though it started at 9 o'clock. If I left at 6:15, I got there in really quick time. Normally a 2-hour drive, it would take me an hour and 45 minutes to get there, which was very quickly. If I left after 6:15, and remember my thing started at 9 o'clock, I would leave at 6:15. I would arrive there at 7:45. And so I'd be like a whole hour and 15 minutes early. If I left after 6:15, I would barely make it there on time before 9 o'clock. Barely. There was that much difference in that 15-minute period. So, and that hour and 45 minutes included stopping off and getting breakfast on the way, gassing up the car on the way. In fact, there was this one exit. There was a gas station there, and right next to it was a Carl's Jr. So get the gas, drive through the Carl's Jr., get back on the freeway, and off I'd go. That would be if I wanted that for breakfast that morning. But at that same thing, I could drive down a little further and go to like a Jack in the Box. So there's different places that I could go, and I knew my exits. We did this drive at least once a month, and I knew my exits where I needed to go. Like if I needed bathroom breaks, where the fast food places were for bathroom breaks, all that sort of stuff. So I would always carry a overnight bag in the car in case I was, by the end of the day, because we would finish. When would we finish? We'd finish like around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was a full day thing when we were in person. and we finished like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then it was kind of like, it was Saturday. And so it was kind of like rush hour. When in LA, is it not rush hour? And so I would then figure out how, am I tired? How tired am I? Can I make it home safely? Because I know it's going to take me 2 to 3 hours to get home, depending on the traffic. 2 hours if I was lucky, normally around 3. But I did have my overnight bag in the car. And at the time, Brad's mum was alive and living in LA and that. And so I was able to go up to her place and crash there if I needed to for a night. So I knew I always had a bed. Yeah, if I needed to, I would go crash at her place for the night and then get up early the next morning and drive home. But most nights I'm at home. So I always was prepared to stay the night in that case. So that wasn't really spontaneous because I was prepared. Taking a spontaneous train ride. I love trains. I love traveling on trains. They're so much fun, and you get to see so much. You get to see things from a different perspective. Like when you go on a cruise ship, when you go on a tour bus, when you're driving, you go on trains. You get to see things from different perspectives based on your transportation. And so, doing like a day trip, hopping on a train, doing a day trip through to LA, and then getting on the train to come back home that evening. I have done that. In fact, there's been times when Brett said, like, "Oh, do you want to go hop on the train?" He'd asked me the night before. He says, I need a drive buddy or something like that. And I hadn't been planning on, he'd been in LA for a week with his mum doing stuff for her. And he would say, "Hey, can you catch the train up so I can drive?" And I was like, "Okay." And he'd be like, for him, it would be spur of the moment because he'd suddenly thought about, I'll make a quicker drive if I had Helen with me. Sometimes he would take Gus with him. Sometimes he wouldn't. And so I would take the train up, hop in the car with him, and would drive home. Crazy things like that. But sometimes if I got off at Union Station, we would go across the road to Philippe's for lunch, and then we'd drive home. But most of the time, he met me in one of the stations in the valley, and we'd just hop in the car and go home at that point. So it's just deciding to making a spur of the moment decision. Let's go out for dinner. Let's hop on a train and go for a ride. Let's hop on the buses and go for a ride. If you're in the Wellington area in New Zealand on Christmas Day, the trains are all free. It's free train rides. The only issue we have found on that is that sometimes the train drivers don't show up because for whatever reason, it's Christmas Day. They don't want to show up, even though they're scheduled for working. They decide not to show up. So they put buses on instead. Or they'll just close the line down and says, "Yeah, not taking anybody else out there. We've got no train drivers for today." So, but it's still a fun day out if you get on the trains. And we came back because they've got 2 main trunk lines. They've got 2 main ones. They've got a smaller one as well, but the 2 main ones. One goes starts up near where my parents live and goes into Wellington. The other one goes up the other side of there's this hill in the middle. And the other one goes up State Highway 1, one goes up State Highway 2 and up into the valley. And so we had taken the train from near where my parents lived, had gotten on that, taken the train all the way into, and we had lunch with us in our day packs, had taken because we knew nothing would be open, taken the train all the way down into Wellington. We stopped and had a snack there because the train to go into the valley wasn't leaving for like another hour or something. And then we got on the train heading out to the valley. We got to Upper Hutt. We got off there. We wandered around, got back on. The train went back to Wellington. We get to Wellington to find out that the train going up to where my parents live was no longer running. It was all buses. So we then had to go and stand over where the buses were and get on the buses. But, we had a fun day out. It was just a really cool day. And you got to see when you go up the Hutt Valley, you go around the Wellington Harbour to go up into the valley and stuff. But you get to see different things. And I could see things that had changed over the years and things that hadn't. And, some places are still the same. Some areas are still the same and that sort of thing. So, so just deciding on the spur of the moment to do something is what spontaneity is all about. It's something that you're not planned. It's just something that, let's go do this. Let's go for a ride. Let's go grab dinner. Maybe you've already come home and you start cooking and you're sort of like, I don't feel like what I'm cooking. I'll finish cooking this off. We're not going to eat it. We're going to put it in the fridge for the night. There'll be dinner tomorrow night. We're going to go out for dinner. Or your husband comes home and you're busy cooking dinner and your husband comes home and says, "Let's go out." "But I'm cooking dinner." "Yep, that'll do for tomorrow night. How far off are you?" And I said, "Well, it's almost ready." And he was like, and Brad was like, "Okay." well, can we put it in the fridge for tomorrow night? Let's go out for dinner. I says, why don't we go out for dinner tomorrow? He says, nah, I feel like going out for dinner tonight. I'm like, okay. I wasn't going to argue with him. So we just packed everything into the refrigerator for the night and had it cold the next night and went out for dinner that night. So he just suddenly felt like, I don't know, heading out. So what are some benefits of being spontaneous? It boosts creativity and problem solving. Spontaneous decisions or actions force you out of your comfort zone, encouraging creative thinking and innovative problem solving as you navigate new experiences or challenges. There you go. Could be, yeah, I like the, yeah. Improves mental health. Breaking from a routine and trying new things can combat the feelings of monotony and boredom, which is so true, potentially reducing stress and combating symptoms of depression and anxiety. It introduces novelty to your brain, which can be a mood booster. I love being spontaneous. The only problem is I start thinking about things in my head and start thinking, well, we could do this, we could do that, and then I decided, and it's sort of like, no, it's not really spontaneous because I planned it by that point when I decided to go do it. Enhances adaptability. Regularly putting yourself in new unplanned situations can improve your ability to adapt to change and handle uncertainty with more resilience. This skill is invaluable in both personal and professional contexts. Strengthens relationships. Spontaneous acts or adventures with friends, family, or partners can strengthen bonds through shared experiences. These moments often become cherished memories and stories that enrich your relationships. Oh, yes, we all know the stories. We've all got stories of spontaneity in there. Encourage mindfulness and presence. Living spontaneously requires you to be present in the moment, making you more mindful of your surroundings, your feelings, and people you're with. This mindfulness can lead to a greater appreciation of life's small pleasures. Spontaneous can even be going for a walk. Yeah, let's go hike a trail. Okay. Let's go for a drive out to the lake. Okay. Fosters personal growth. By stepping out of your comfort zone and embracing the unknown, you learn about yourself, your likes and dislikes, and how you react to different situations. This self-awareness is key to personal development. Now, spontaneous could even be spontaneous purchases. Like if you go to an event, like when I was in, now I had already pre-planned this, but when I was in Alaska last time, the ship stopped at Ketchikan. I love Ketchikan. And this is the only planned excursion I had. And that was to go to the lumberjack show. I hadn't seen a lumberjack show for eons. And actually it was more lumberjack competitions, not a lumberjack show. But the last time it was back in New Zealand at one of the AMP shows. And those are like our state fairs. They have them in different areas around the country. And one of the competitions is the lumberjacks. And I love watching the lumberjacks. I'm just like amazed that they can, stand on a piece of log and chip away at it without cutting their feet off or their legs, and it's sort of like, I hope that doesn't slip. And then they go climbing up these poles, putting notches in as they're going with the axes and stuff and climbing up onto the next. I mean, it just absolutely fascinated me. And so I thought, I didn't know they had a lumberjack show in Ketchikan. So I went to the lumberjack show. But one thing I did before I went to the lumberjack show is I made the decision I was going to do axe throwing, learn how to throw an axe afterwards. Well, when I got there and got checked in, they said, you're doing the axe throwing? I said, yes. So I was busy wandering around the store before they let you open the doors to let you into the stadium area or the arena or whatever they call it. And I could hear them asking people, do you want to do it? We have axe throwing lessons afterwards. Would you like to partake in that? This is what it costs. That is a spontaneous on the moment purchase. If you decide to say yes, because you don't really think, some people will think about it and other people will go, okay. My spontaneous reaction to Casey, he turns around and says, Helen, I have a challenge. This is back in July 2019. If you've been following us, you know the story. Back in July 2019, towards the end of the month, Casey turns to me and he goes, Helen, I have a challenge for you. I go, what's that? And he goes, I want you to do a Facebook Live every day for a year. I went, okay. I didn't even think about it. I just automatically gave that response. That is a spontaneous response to being told something. And then it was afterwards, it's like, oh, crap. What have I done? It's like I accepted he gave me a challenge. I accepted it. I got to go figure out how to do it now. So even just saying yes on the spur of the moment to something, somebody says, oh, come with us to you're out with friends or something and you're planning to go home afterwards. And they said, oh, we're going to go out to a nightclub or we're going to go see this show or that show. You can decide on the spur of the moment that you want to go see a show. you can decide on the spur of the moment. They say, oh, we're going to go to the theme park or something. They're having an evening, Halloween evening or whatever. And you're like, okay. And off you go. And in some of those cases, they're going to go, oh, let's go on the roller coaster. And you're like, okay, because you don't want to be left out. And sometimes that really stretches some people to get on a roller coaster. I love roller coasters. There is a couple that I will never go on again. I went on it once, and I honestly thought my head was going to explode from the inside out. It was so bad. It was at King's Dominion in Virginia, and it was this big sphere-shaped thing. And so we thought, oh, we'll go on this, and we had the boys with us. This is so funny. We had the boys with us, and so we got into this thing. No idea what it was. So Brad and I sitting there next to each other. We get all strapped in and all of that, and you're like really strapped in. It's tight. They tightened up the straps and everything. It was tight. And this thing went from like 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds, if that. And then you're suddenly inside this big sphere. It's black. You have no idea what's going on. Your body's being thrown around. You can't see anything. You can't see the track in front of you, nothing. And then all of a sudden these strobe lights start going off. So you kind of get a glimpse of things, and you're going, and I mean, the G-forces on some of these turns felt intense. And my head was pounding so much, I thought it was going to explode. And all I can remember doing was just sitting there going, please God, get me the hell out of here real fast. I don't even know how long the ride was. It seemed like 20 minutes long. It seemed like a really long time. And we get out of there, and I'm talking to Brad. I go, I don't like that one. I said, normally I like roller coasters, but I said, I did not like that one. I thought my head was going to explode. And Brad was very much of the same thing. And we get out of there, and the boys are like, that was great. Can we go do it again? And we're like, no. So that is one I will never go on again. I'm not sure if I will go back on roller coasters again, but, maybe some of the more gentler ones. Things change. Where are we up to? So doing something like getting on a roller, making the decision at a theme park, I'm never going to go on that roller coaster. I'm not a roller coaster. I'm not going to go on any roller coaster. You end up on a roller coaster. That's how I ended up on the teacups at Disneyland. Never again. I don't do well with spinny things. And Brad's like, oh, it's really, and I'm like watching, and he goes, oh, it's really gentle. It's slow. I'm sort of like, okay. And we get on these teacups, and I'm just sitting there, and what I didn't realize is that if you pull on the wheel, you start spinning faster. I did not know that. And Brad starts pulling on as well. I'm like, you said this didn't go very fast. We're going fast. Is there a way to slow this down? He says, oh, yeah, we just don't turn the wheel. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I was so happy to get off the teacups. I had said I wasn't going to go on them. And he said, and he basically talked me into it. More guilted me into it, I think. It increases life satisfaction. Engaging in new and spontaneous activities can lead to a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. Trying new things can make life feel more vibrant and satisfying. Yeah, all the spontaneous stuff I've done in my life, I've had a blast at it. Some of it may have regretted the decision afterwards, but I had a blast while doing it. It expands your comfort zone. The more you act spontaneously, the more you stretch your comfort zone, making what's once seemed daunting more manageable. This expansion can apply to all areas of life, from social interactions to professional opportunities. Encourage a positive attitude towards failure. Not all spontaneous actions lead to success. I can attest to that one. But they teach the valuable lessons that failure is not the end of the world, but a part of the learning process. Absolutely. This perspective encourages a healthier attitude towards taking risks. Yes, there are certain risks I will take and certain risks I will not take. There are certain things I will do spontaneously, and there's certain things that I will step back and just think about it for a little bit before I decide whether or not I'm going to do it. It leads to, being spontaneous can lead to unexpected opportunities. Many of life's best opportunities come from unplanned encounters and decisions. Being open to spontaneity can lead you to experiences, relationships, and paths you might never have considered otherwise. And this could be something as simple of like you're walking past a new shop and you suddenly decide to pop on it. That's a bit of spontaneity. Why did you want to pop into that shop? You don't know. Maybe something in the window caught your eye. Or maybe it's like, oh, this is a new shop. Let's go in and have a look. It could be that, no, this is one that I so want to do. And I already have it on my list to do. And that is to one day, is to walk down to the airport one day and pick an airline and get on the next flight leaving if it has seats available. Yep. No idea where it's going. I'll take a backpack with me that has overnight stuff in it and just fly off somewhere. Where will I go? I don't know. But I will have my passport with me in case I decide to leave the country. And depending on where the plane's going to, whether or not you need visas as well. So there is that, because some countries now have the entry visas that you need. They're free to get. Most of the time you can get them online. So, maybe it's something like walking into an airport and going, I'm going to go on a flight. Which airline am I going to choose? Where are you going? Oh, you got seats available? Yep, I'll take one. It could be something as simple as that. Walking down to you can't really walk to a pier to get on a cruise ship these days. You used to be able to. Yes. But, you could do a spontaneous thing like a couple of days before. Oh, let's go on a cruise this weekend. Okay. Go book the cruise and turn up 2 days later and get on a cruise ship. You can be spontaneous that way. Let's go away this weekend. Why? Why not? Where are we going to go? Don't know. Let's get in the car and drive and see where we end up. So, I need to plan. No, you don't. Just get in the car and let's go. Throw an overnight bag in the car. Let's go. Well, maybe you might need 2 nights of clothes, but let's go. Just fun things like that. Where will you end up? Who knows? You could just go driving up the road. Sunday drives. We never know where we're going. We're going out for a drive. Where are we going? We don't know. I asked Zeffie when we get to a 4-way intersection, if it's got traffic lights, left, right, or straight ahead, whichever way she looks, that's the way we go. Where do we end up? In all sorts of different places. We've ended up near dog parks. We've ended up near places that have pump cups. But, and it could be just as simple as that, is that you're driving home. Oh, you've been good today. Let's go get you a pop cup. Just spur of the moment decision. Yeah, just like that. So, spontaneity can be really good and really healthy. And, it could be you decide to go visit something one day and it turns out that they have some other exhibit going on. And you decide to go see that exhibit as well. You go through the first one. Let's go see the second one. There's all sorts of things. It could be a last spur of the moment thing to go. There's a networking event on, but you decided you're not going to go to it. And, or you had something on that you were supposed to go to, but that thing got cancelled and you suddenly decide, oh, well, let's go to that one. It could be something as simple as like you're driving along. Oh, there's a farmer's market there. Let's pull in and have a look. There's stuff to do spontaneously all around you. Most of the time the spontaneity gets snuffed out with me because I have her in the car. If I didn't have her in the car with me, then, but this is when we're out having our drive and things like that. But if it's a place where I can get out, put her on the leash and take her with me, absolutely, we will do that. Absolutely. But anyway, so those are just a few things with the spontaneity. What are some of the things that you have done? Let us know in the comments below. What are some of the things that you have done spontaneously that have ended up being really, really good, like amazing, maybe life-changing, or you just had such a really good time that's one of your best adventures to date or something like that. So put in the comments below what one of your moments of spontaneity have been. And let us know, because, share a life of spontaneity. They all make up part of our story. So why not put some fun in there? Anyway, that's it from me for tonight. I'm heading out. I got to go figure out what I'm going to do for dinner tonight. But anyway, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. He konara.